Welcome back to the School of Impact podcast. Today, I have a treat for you. This is going to be a power packed episode, and I'm bringing back for the third time. And I can confidently say that you are the first guest that has been on the show three different times over the last handful of years. And um, I'll kind of open loop this for everybody listening and watching. Her last two episodes were some of the highest downloaded episodes, and now that we're putting this out on YouTube and everywhere, I can confidently say it'll probably be one of the highest watched ones as well, because there's going to be so many gold nuggets for you, whether you are just getting started in your business right now, or you've been at it for a while, but maybe you're kind of stuck in a plateau, you're feeling stressed out, you're maybe feeling burned out, and you're really just trying to look for just ways to just stress less, to grow more, to profit more, to have a business that you love, and to be able to help make impact and help make lots of money. You're going to find a lot of value from this episode today. So without further ado, our guest is not I was going to say Natasha Starcheski. I always butcher that. No, but for real, Natasha is, I've known her for quite a while, and she's an all-around amazing human being. And she is somebody that I could say, just from watching over the last few years, is her word. And you see a lot of people that are out there these days that are just taunting one message, and then 2 weeks later, a month later, they're taunting another message, and they're constantly jumping. You've been consistently saying the same freaking thing. It's maybe evolved with evolution over and over again, which is something that I really admire. And for those of you that don't know Natasha, she is a writer, storyteller, and an entrepreneurial misfit, which is probably why I vibe with you as well. She owns a company called TVAC that helps online coaches and consultants develop their front end, their marketing systems, and build out setters and sales teams. And she does way more than that. We'll probably dive into that as well today. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand you the mic, Natasha. And I would love for you to just introduce yourself, maybe elaborate on the things that I missed, and let everybody know that who you are and what you do right now.
Well, I'm super excited to be here. It was really cool hearing you say, and I think sometimes we can't read the label from inside the bottle. Everybody in my life who's really close to me teases me and they tell me that I live on self-driving mode, where just kind of like unconscious, going 100 miles an hour towards what I want. And I don't always maybe pay attention or see stuff. So it's interesting from somebody who isn't in contact with me every day, who maybe sees my writing on social media, has been like in my ecosystem in my world for a bit, to say that the message has been the same for years. So I think that's really cool. And I appreciate that feedback. Because like I said, sometimes we don't see it within ourselves. For me, I used to be an online fitness coach. That's initially how I came into the space. Then I kind of pivoted into building a setter company. And it's so funny. Like, if you would have interviewed me, 2 years ago, I would have had a very different answer for kind of like how my entrepreneurial journey has been. But built a setter company, grew it too big, too fast, very reckless, was coaching in a mastermind program at the time. So I was in this unique role of building setter teams and staffing team members and other people's businesses, while simultaneously being in like a business coach role, seeing what people thought their problems were versus what their actual problems were. Because it's one thing to sit on a Zoom call with 20 people and answer questions and hear like, this is what I'm struggling with, this is where I need support, my marketing isn't working, it's my sales, it's this, it's that. And then being on sales meetings, seeing weekly KPI reports of what's happening, being in conversations where like leads are coming in, people are asking for refunds, you have upset customers, like leads are ghosting you. So it's been quite a unique experience. I've seen the inside of hundreds of businesses through the setter side of stuff. And then I've seen hundreds of fitness coaching businesses and what they think their problem is. So yeah, it's been like a really unique and cool journey. And the message has stayed the same, because I think our foundational principles when it comes to building a business, creating a life that we want, like they don't change. And it's the same across every single industry. But I do think that we mature as we go through business, we connect the dots and we have different understandings. So that's kind of, I don't know if that answers the question of who I am. I always think that question is so weird, because it's like, I don't want to really list my accolades. Like, here's like, my pretentious list of all the successful
like, this is all
things.
the stuff.
Yeah.
I think you understood it really well. And um side note, I did interview you 2 years ago, so we can go back and listen.
Mm,
No, but yeah, like, and you're right. Like the core message stays the same, but we as humans, like you as a human, evolve,
mm,
and so how it's communicated is different, but the core thesis of it is the same, right?
yeah.
And another thing that I see, and I'd love for you to maybe unpack this, and this is a great place where we can kind of kick off and start, is, and I've even kind of learned through observing through you on this, is like you are not afraid to speak your mind on social media. Like you will say what you want to say, and it's a part of who you are and your brand as well, from like an observational side of things. You're not just like, here some information about how you can get some customers in your door, right? Or here's the, no, you're like sharing you.
Mm,
Where did you, like, how did that come to be? Is I know that I see, I'm sure you see this as well. A lot of people, they're afraid to like really, um, I don't want to like not the be vulnerable like type stuff. That's stupid. But
yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like show more of who they are online.
Yeah. I would answer that with, at times I am still scared to show who I am online, believe it or not. I think I've always been very direct. Growing up, my family, I have super direct parents. Like, if we look at where did you develop the skill of just say what's on your mind and what needs to be said, definitely came from mom and dad. They just like call a spade a spade. It is what it is. If you
Yeah.
ask them a question, it's responded with, do you actually want an answer? So,
Yeah.
my home environment, I very much grew up as this kid who spoke your mind, say what you need to say, ask your question, don't beat around the bush. Would have been maybe reprimanded for not saying what I needed to say because my parents didn't have a whole lot of space for humming and hawing and not just like addressing stuff head on. So I feel that environmentally growing up, that probably played into it a little bit. So when I
Yeah.
came into creating on social media, I didn't have a lot of the predispositions that other
Yeah.
people had. My household wasn't, you're supposed to be seen and not heard. Don't say shit if your mouth is full of it. Like, that wasn't the environment. The
Yeah.
environment was quite the opposite of that. So I think that helped. Um, Also, I posted on social media for almost 2 years straight and I only
Yeah.
made $3,000. Like, I posted every day, I grew this audience, but it was very filtered at times. I gave value and it was helpful and people liked it, but it wasn't fully expressive of myself. And then I remember
Yeah.
one day being like, you're either going to be disliked and make money and find the people who want to work with you, or you're going to keep playing it safe and you're going to be broke. So what's it going to be? Pick a path. And then that one of the first 15 posts I made after that was something probably abrasive that I wouldn't maybe necessarily word the same way now, but it was like shit like diabetes, or like body positivity is a joke because shit like type 2 diabetes isn't, was like
Yeah.
the hook. And then I sold 10 clients off
Yeah.
that post. And it was like this moment of unfiltered expression. I said what I said. A lot of people didn't like it, but a small handful of people like really rallied for that. And they were like, yeah, this lands with me. So then I got kind of reinforced of, when you speak your mind, you attract the right type of person. And then, like anything else in life, creative endeavor, I just kind of started chasing the rabbit with that. And, I started sharing more of my writing, more of myself. And I think we're such a wide range of people. We're like such a wide range within ourselves of our expression. And
Yep.
people want to stifle it and put it into a box and only communicate in one way. But that's not the totality of who you are.
Mhm.
There's some posts of mine that are probably like just very direct and they're out there and they cut right to the bone and you're either going to like it or you're not. And then there's other posts and pieces of media that I create that are very gentle and soft, and
Yeah.
it's like a virtual hug. Let me just hug you from the other side of the screen, but like that's all of you. And I think people have to be okay showing the whole range of human emotion and their own expression.
Yeah, I love that. And that's really how like relationships are formed. And that's
Yeah.
how communication is in a day to day. And I love how you mentioned like speak, like you pretty much spoke what you stood for at that time. And I have a similar experience when I was in online fitness. And I remember the first time I got so much freaking hate where I was talking about, I'm like, the reason you're jacked up is because, and like, I just shared my mind pretty much. And I had all of this hate mainly from other fitness coaches. And
Mm,
I remember being like, it really got to me at the time. But I also sold a handful of clients over that week from that content. And I was just like, all right, so I'm making money from it, but my peers seem to hate me. All right,
mm,
like I'm gonna go down this path because I'm actually helping people and growing my business,
yes.
and it's just speaking what I believe in, and so there's always going to be that side of things, right, where you're repelling people. There's people that are just, it's not for me. This is not for me.
Yeah.
And then there's like the people that are like, you know what, like what you're saying, I could feel the truth in it, and they're
Yeah.
gonna lean into it.
Yeah. 100%. And like your message evolves over time. Like there's some stuff that I look back and I read, and me 2 years ago, even 3 years ago, I was very egotistical.
Yeah.
The way that I express stuff, the way that I used to write, the way that I talked about money was very, very ego driven. It was
Hmm.
paid in fulls, make 100K a month, $1 million a year. Like it was just so intense. There was so much charge behind it. Me
Yeah.
today expresses the same business principles have remained the same. Build relationships, build a good product, work hard, you're paid for what you produce in the marketplace. Like all of those things still apply, but I have a way different expression than what
Hmm.
it used to be. It's not so intense. And if it is
Yeah.
intense, it's intense in like a different direction. And I think that people want to be perfect. People want their like finished product to be what they start with. And that's like never going to be the way that you create a message. You might create a video and it goes terribly wrong and you don't like the way that somebody interpreted it. And that's okay. You can redo it and have a different take. Like,
Yeah.
God, just like the creative endeavor it's such a big ask of ourselves, and are you willing to pay the price to stumble and fumble your way through it and be okay that it just sometimes you're not going to like the way that you said something and people are not going to understand you and you can clean it up and just get better.
Yeah. I'd argue to say that's probably a lot of the times, but
Mm,
like I don't think it ever ends. Like,
never.
yeah, and I guarantee you, just on this podcast, like this will happen for both of us. We're like, crap, well, I probably should have said that differently, right? It just always is going to happen. But like, the more reps that you put in, and the more you learn skills, right? The skills of communication, of influence, of being able to
Yeah.
talk on camera, of all of these different skills that make up a good speaker or a good content creator or a good coach. Um,
Yeah.
it gets easier with time.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's a couple directions that we can go with this, and I think the first direction is something that you said at the beginning, and I'm just kind of curious to know your thoughts on this. I see this too, but our perspectives are completely different, probably when it comes to these things. I'd love to see kind of what you're looking at when you mention that, when you see the behind the scenes of a lot of people's businesses, like you see
Mm,
the numbers and numbers don't lie, right? You see the things that are actually going on compared to what people think is going on.
yeah.
Right? Like I need more leads. I got to get like, what are you seeing? Like, what's your perspective on like the common theme, whether it's one, two, or maybe three things that you see that are actually going on in most coaching businesses?
Yeah, I'm gonna like zoom this out on like a couple different levels. So zoomed out level number one, COVID happened, people pivoted
Yeah.
online, right place, right time. A beautiful example of just you're standing in the right part of the road
Yeah.
when luck and opportunity hit. So, a lot of people transitioned and a lot of money was made with a limited skill set in a very perfect storm. So people are locked in their houses. They want a sense of community. They're overweight. They're gaining weight from COVID. If I keep it just in the fitness space as an example, they're scared about their health and they're just craving connection. Sweet, perfect time for an online fitness coach who is able
Yeah.
to throw subpar offer out there and just get it going. So a bunch of businesses blew up when they did not have the systems, the skills, the understanding, the business acumen. They didn't actually understand like what they were building in their business and they just punched the gas and businesses went from $0 to like multiple six figures in their first year.
Mhm.
People who had experience and were really good in-person trainers and had proof of concept for 5 to 10 years went from 0 to a million.
Mm-hmm.
So 40,000 foot view, businesses blew up. The fitness coaching space, we're 20 years in that it's been around. There is no data to show people what to charge, how to package, how to pay staff, how to build a business. So we're just all like shooting in the dark. And for some reason, internet entrepreneurship seems to just be like super hot take, such a fucking joke compared to how you would make decisions running a brick and mortar business. If you look at a hair salon, the hair industry has been around forever. I got decades of data to help me make a decision on what do I pay for a chair? What do I pay for the salon? What should my costs be in this business? I can look at a very long path of this being in the industry. Internet businesses don't have that. So my next hot take about that is people don't know what to charge, how to package it, how to deliver it, what to pay their team, and then their operating costs get wildly disproportionate. You're an online business. Why do you only have 30% profit margins?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is going on? And
Yeah.
why are you paying out? Why are you hemorrhaging cash in an online business? So 40,000 foot view is COVID. The next part of it is that people made the wrong decisions, but we also don't have industry reference points because the market didn't mature. I feel that right now we're going through a period where skepticism is higher than ever. People don't trust. It is taking longer to convert, and people don't have the skill set and the systems to be able to support it. So these businesses that went to multiple six figures a year, I'm feeling good, I'm a rock star, oh my God, this is amazing, are just like getting punched in the face right now in 2024 because they don't have any of their shit together. And it's the fall from grace. So what do I see in people's businesses? They don't have the proper marketing and messaging, both from a combination of like organic marketing, paid ad strategy, email marketing, like full front end totality. How do you just bake these leads?
Yeah.
How do you build trust? How do you walk them to a buying decision? Who is this for? How are we building a brand? Can we create emotional resonance with these people and just build trust? It's hot. There's so much skepticism. You're going to work hard. You're going to have to work harder to sell the same amount of clients that you did 24 months ago.
Yeah.
Pay the price or go work at Starbucks. Like those are your options.
They got good benefits.
Really. Second thing, people worked really hard in the wrong direction. They're exhausted, and there is a lot of coaches in the space have a ton of clients at different price points on the wrong offer, and their margins are just dog shit.
Yeah.
So I have 80 to 100 clients. Some people are paying me $200 a month. Some people are paying me $350. Some people are paying me $500. Some people paid me in full for a year because I ran a Black Friday sale and extended out all my contract. And now I have 20 to 30 clients that are already paid out for a year, but I still have to deliver and I have no new money coming in.
Yeah.
People's businesses right now are like an operational shit show. So those are like the biggest things that I've seen shift. And because they don't have the marketing and the nurture, and it's taking longer to sell clients, they don't have the cash that they need. They're exhausted from building the wrong thing, putting out so many fires, and they're in this like really weird spot of like the only way out is through. You can't do what you were doing a couple years ago. And the unfortunate reality is that it's probably going to take most people, if they commit to change, 8 to 12 months to clean up the piss out of their bed.
Yeah. I love that. I love your perspectives on these things, and the hotter the take, the better around here. So those are some really good hot takes. And just speaking through experience from my own experience in there, like everything you said is freaking spot on. Like I had built my gym, which by the way, like building a gym where like all of these, like you do have like like the way we learn to build a gym is like you do set up a CRM right away. You do hire an assistant, and you hire like trainers in a team. You do set up these lead nurture systems and these lead generation systems, a paid ad strategy, organic or organic strategies. You do set up like these like where you're texting and email, like that is like you do that right away. Like that's how I learned. And then when going into the online space, it's like, yeah, just I mean, which I know it's different, right? But it's like I remember being so like confused. And I was one of those that I got into it in 2019. I sold my gym right before COVID. Obviously, I didn't know COVID was coming, and uh, September 2019, I took all of my skill sets and everything that I did and went online. And so I was able to generate a six-figure business right away just from transferring skills and the trust that I already had with people. And then I was in that when COVID hit, I was in that boom to where I just applied those skills. That's what I try to tell people now. I'm like, dude, I had 8.5 years of skills and building trust with people and all of these things that were just applied over to my online business. That's why I blew up. Like,
Yeah.
that's it. Like, I sucked at like I sucked at a lot of that stuff. I was just good. I was a good marketer. I knew how to sell.
Yeah.
Like, those were my skill sets. And so I love how you said that, because that is true. And that is like, um, like, I think logically anybody can look at that and be like, yeah, that is what's happening right now.
Mm.
And you said something, and I think this is a great kind of segue. You said, the only, how'd you word it? The only way through,
The only way out
how'd you,
is through.
yeah. So I know you and I know a lot of people in the space. I don't know if we want to call it pivoted or evolved, or we shifted our models to better suit our life and what we want and how we want to serve people. What it like? Can you walk through like what like your experiences are with this? Because I know there's a lot of people, as you said, and
Yeah.
as I am seeing, that they're in these like cookie cutter models that don't suit them. They're stressed out, they're burned out, as you said and as you've seen, like their margins are crap, and it's a mess. Everything's kind of pieced together. Like, what are your experiences through that, and what are some recommendations for people that you can give that are trying to find a lower stress, higher profit business?
Yeah. Oh, my experience with it is wild. So I built TVAC so recklessly. The first year at TVAC, I took it from one team member to 100 in the first 12 months. Just rip the brakes out of the car. Let's build this.
Let's
Like
go.
wild. The first 45 days of TVAC, I went from one staff member to 20 full-time staff members. Like insane. At the peak of TVAC, I had 150 people total working for the company. And that's like direct people that we had to manage every single day to produce
A
sales
lot.
outcomes. So grew it really fast, didn't know what I was doing, ended up making like millions in this business on 10% profit margins. Some months were higher, didn't know timing of cash flow, burnt out.
Yeah.
February of 2022, I lost my voice. I ended up being on voice rest for a month and a half. Couldn't talk more than 15 minutes a day, like legit, voice just like cut out. I would go to the grocery store and people would say hi to me and I would just head nod at them because I was like, I physically can't speak to you. And we had 150 team members working for us. They were probably dealing with like 350 people a day. I had 70, 80K a month of fixed cost. Like
That's
this
crazy.
place was a shit show. And I was like, I can't do this. Like this business model needs to change. Holy hell, this thing is like a monster with 9 heads. Which one do I cut off first? So
Mhm.
I brought in a friend who worked in FedEx, corporate consulting. I was like, cool, let's start cleaning this up. He's very much like the bean counter and the
Yep.
the money guy. Like he's good at offers, he's good at like hedging risk, like controlling cost as we grow. And I was like, what do we need to do? Then my dad actually ended up getting laid off from work. He's an engineer and a chiropractor, but he's been a general manager and superintendent at mine sites for the last like 2 decades. He gets laid off. I call him. I'm like, I need a general manager. This place is a shit show. So me, my dad, and now this like friend who's now my business partner all come together and we're like, how do we solve this problem? We ended up letting go of 75% of our client load. We ended up
Wow.
over the course of a 12 to 16 month time period, we let go of 50% of the team, like full-time operational team members. I slashed our recurring revenue to like 25% of what it was. We restructured our offers. We increased the cost, like the investment for the offer, probably by 5x what we were charging, because like the margins made no sense. It was so crazy. Then I built another offer to fix some of the other issues we had internally. In a single 12-month period, I built three courses, restructured an offer, cut pretty much like the cost down to like, I think our operating cost is like 25K, 30K
Okay.
now.
Yeah, it's a
Cut
big
it
difference.
significantly. Remodeled the entire business. There was periods, dude, where we were negative 18K in profit because we could not bring clients on while I was remodeling this. And I was literally losing like almost 20 grand a month. And the only reason that all of it was good was because of like timing of cash flow. And I remember
Yeah.
from November of 2022 to November, December, January, February, March, let's say March, April, I felt like the dirt was coming in the hill faster than I could shovel it out.
Yeah.
Like I woke up every day in the red, in the hole, trying to build stuff. I didn't want to fire all the team. It was just a shit show. And I share that because I don't think people realize how much it takes to fix something that you built so fundamentally wrong. And I share that as somebody who, God, there's so many coaches in the space that they only have like 3 or 4 people on their team. It kind of sucks and it's going to hurt and you're going to have to put in some work, but like you didn't build this catastrophic
It's like
thing that's going to
Frankenstein.
take you like 16 to 24 months to fix if you actually want to keep the business. So like perspective,
Yeah.
and I shared this because like, dude, I was on fire. I was up every day at like 4 a.m. building a course from 4 till 6 to train the team
And
at 7. Like it was insane.
so, first of all, kudos. I had a team of 13 and I did something similar. And so, like, I can't even imagine. Like, I'm like, that was a walk in the park for me compared to what you just did. But what was so, as you're seeing yourself going into the red and you're trying to, like, the way I picture this is I got like Legos and stuff back here. So I picture this in my mind of like trying to take apart pieces of the Lego without breaking the whole Lego, right?
Mhm.
How did you like what did you do to mentally get through it? Was it just like that point of like the pain of staying the same right now is just it's greater than me just freaking changing this crap, so I'm gonna face the demon head on, or like what was your mindset while you're going through that? Because most people would crumble.
Dude. I I have been through so much pain in my life, like in the first half of my life. And I don't really talk about it a lot on social media, but I left home at 13. I couch surfed for a couple years. I did drugs. I had like did drugs, partied, got clean, overdosed at 16.
Hmm.
Like been through shit. Like the first half of my life was like trial by fire, face drug across the asphalt. Like I got scars for like every life event that you could experience. And so I had like lived through so much and I have always bet on myself and I've always pulled through. When I was in grade 12, I rolled into grade 12 2.5 years behind. I did 2.5 years of high school in 9 months. I got valedictorian in my grad class after overdosing the summer before. Like I've just always been somebody that can just take a fucking 2x4 to the face and keep going. So I think that's like one part of it. My mindset during it though, like it was hard. Like
Yeah.
I would wake up in the morning, open my eyes and realize, and like just the feeling was the dirt was coming in the hill faster than I could shovel it out. And
Yeah.
I cried a lot. Like I literally would just cry for 5 minutes and then I would be like, okay,
Just gotta
like
release it. Yeah.
yeah, like just move it through my body and like move on to the next task. I was very vulnerable with the team. I was like, this is what needs to be done. I need everybody here to elevate or else none of us are going to have a job. The reality is that we're 4 months away from being out of business if we don't
Yeah.
solve this problem. So like, this is what the fuck is up. And you're either on the ship and you're rowing with me or get off now because I need to know who's all in and who's getting off this boat. And
Yeah.
some people left and they didn't like it. And like, that's totally cool. Like, I understand that this isn't for you. I also had like a really dope group of people who just believed in me and what I wanted to do. and we're like, I got you. Like, where's the shovel? Let me start cleaning. So like everybody was like, one mission, solve this problem, divide and conquer. Like everybody was in their own roles, just like full throttle, man. And it's wild because like as the owner, I look at them and I'm so grateful for everything that they did. And my output of work was 10x what they were doing. But if
Yeah.
they weren't doing their part and I didn't play at a 10x level to them, like we wouldn't have a business right now. Like I wouldn't be on this podcast. Like we were so fucked.
Yeah.
So God, dude, I just had blind faith and I was like, it's going to get better because I feel like I'm rooted in responsibility for the first time in my life. My eyes are wide open. Like, don't flinch, don't look away. Like, this is what I need to do. And I'm going to just keep solving problems as they come up. And whenever we'd get a little win, it was like a line of cocaine for me. The wins were far and few between, but when they showed up, I was like, fucking hallelujah. Like, let's do this. And I just fell in love with the process. And then there was also a part of me that's like, the lessons we learn are worth the price we pay. And when I come out the other side of this, I'm going to help people fix their business. And I will be able to weather whatever emotional storm you bring me because I just came through hell watching
Yeah.
this just be on fire the whole time. So, yeah, dude, I am not the same. There's not a single part of me as the woman here today that is the same person that you met 2 years ago coming out of that. I feel like it stripped my ego, stripped
Yeah.
my identity. I was like, oh, like that's the girl with the big setter business with like a team of like 100, 150 people. And I'm like ripping stuff apart and I'm like 20K in the hole. I left
Yeah.
Canada to come to the States to also fix, like we were losing money on taxes and like GST stuff that wasn't helping our business. I came to the United States. In order for me to leave Canada, I had to pull all the profit out of the business. After 6 years of work, I walked out of Canada with $10,000 left of all the profit
Yeah.
that I made over the last couple years. Like whatever could have been taken and like pulled out of my life has just been like dissolved over the last 2 years. So it's been wild.
Except for the lessons and the skill sets and the person that you become, which
Yeah.
is why you're thriving, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. I just if someone's going through it, like the only way out is through. I think you got to know what decisions need to be made operationally to fix the business. Like, there's two parts. It's like, what are the strategic moves that legitimately need to be made? Part of that is going to be pricing and it's going to be controlling cost.
Mhm.
Then you have the part that is, what skills do I need? What systems do I need to build? Because that's a very real thing. Like you have a
Yeah.
skill gap right now for where you are. So like there's probably a pricing issue and there's probably a cost issue. Then you have a skill issue and you have a system issue. And then the third thing is like the person you are today is like not who you need to be in order to go to the next level. And not the next level of it being some be part of the 1% and do your morning routine. Like,
Yeah.
fuck that. Like, the person at the next level is rooted in responsibility, feels their feet planted firmly on the ground, and is building from a place of like, is this peaceful? Is it purposeful? And is it profitable? And are you willing to make the decisions to let the people go you need to support the collective success that you're working towards? Or are you just going to buckle and quit? Because the
Yeah.
only way that you're going to fix any of this is being willing to make the hard decisions that you didn't make right in the beginning for whatever fucking reason that was.
And sometimes it's just ignorance, right? It's just not freaking knowing. It's like
Mhm.
you don't know what you don't know, and then once you're in the arena, you're like, all right, now I'm learning. I'm learning, right? I'm getting hit. I'm seeing what's going on, and
Mhm.
like I agree with all of it, and I love the emphasis on like skill sets and systems because so many people and this is not just in building a online fitness business. This is in any area of life. They're focused on like the top of the pyramid, right? So what do I do? Like, what's like, and that's part like, what's the tactic? Like, what content strategy should I have? And that matters, right? To a degree, that definitely matters. But like underneath it, that layer is like the foundation it's built on, right? Like, are you getting better at your skill sets? Are you actually improving there? Are you putting systems in place to make things repeatable? are you actually minding your profit margins, and are you pricing your program accordingly, or did you just see somebody else was doing a $1,200 fitness program and you doing a $1,200 fitness program,
Yeah.
right? Like, so yeah, that stuff matters a lot. And I think so many times people just kind of, they're like, I like helping. This is how I got into it initially. It's like, I like helping people. I'm just
Mhm.
gonna train people, and yeah, and then you realize, like, you're like, oh shit, you know.
Yes.
Well, for me, it was the E Myth Revisited. I remember I read that book back in the day, and I was like, oh, so I'm a technician. And I was like, all right, I get it. And it was just like this eye opening experience. Luckily,
Mm-hmm. I you know, I think part of it too is like, what do you want? And I know that that is such a broad question, but I think sometimes we build unconsciously because we don't ever take the time to be like, what do you value? What do you want? How does this look? Like, what do you want it to look like? Like, I thought, and it's like, where are you building from? For me, I probably had a point to prove. I was like pissed off for greatness. I wanted to be the best. Throw
yeah,
in being a female in a very male dominated space. There was probably unconsciously a part of me that was like, I'm going to be bigger than all of you in
yeah,
whatever way that was, like as a woman trying to like prove my worth in the space,
yeah,
that I just built this massive team. I didn't need 150 people for the
yeah,
impact that I wanted to create. And now it's like, I want to do good work. I want to do meaningful work. I want to leave people better than I found them. I want to help people build a boring, predictable, sustainable, and highly profitable business so you can do other dope shit that you want to do. And
yeah,
like, I think it starts with like, what do you want? Do you want to have in-person events? Do you want to be full-time online? Do you want a huge client load? Do you want a massive brand? Do you actually like, and I'm sure you got this in, with content and messaging. Do you actually want a million person audience?
yeah.
Or
Right.
or do you just want like predictable lead flow where you make 20K a month repeatedly and like it's consistent? And if that's the case, then what's the best approach to getting that? There's other people that are like, I do want a million person audience. But it's like, what do you want and why do you want it? Because you
Yeah.
can't build something without
It's
knowing
like,
that.
yeah, it's having that clarity, right? And like you said it, you mentioned it before, but ego, right, is a lot of it. And like, I know for me, I thought the bigger meant better. And so I was just like, I got to add more team members. I got to do this because that's what my mentors told me that I should do. And so like, I'm going to just do it. And then I'm like, I actually don't want that. I don't want this kind of business. And
Mhm.
there's a frame that I heard from a buddy of mine, and this is a couple years back, and I thought it was amazing. Where he's like, everybody in the coaching space is like, I want to do 10K, I want to do 30K or 50K or 100K, and you're like, why, like why? Because, and then they vomit some answer that's not, maybe some truth to it. And an exercise that I had a buddy of mine, he ran me through. He said, I want you to list out every, like, what would make your ideal lifestyle,
Mm.
like what would make your ideal business. So from your ideal lifestyle, what kind of house? What's the insurance? What's the down payment? Do you want to? What kind of car are you driving? What's the insurance? What's the payments? Your kids, like vacations, your house, like everything. And he's like, your business. Do you want to run retreats? Like, what is it? Like, list everything out. Do you want to do this? What kind of team do you want to have? Like, what kind of support? Like, all of this stuff. And so I went through this exercise. It took me like a couple weeks, but I listed down like my ideal lifestyle, and I listed down what my ideal business, at least at the time, it probably always changes, right? It evolves. And I listed out the cost. And it gave me a very specific number. Like, and it was way less than I thought. I was like, all right, if my business is doing, I think it was like $81,000 a month or something like that, I'll have everything that I currently want right now in business and in life. And it was just like, now I was like an intrinsic motivation versus like a blanket goal of like, you got to get to 100K a month. It was more so like a targeted, like deep meaning of like, that's going to help give me the impact in everything that I want. Right.
Yes.
And so I love how you said that, because that was like a profound exercise that I went through. And I think when a lot of people like realize they don't actually need that much.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. And I don't know where this will it'll land, but it's something I noticed. When I was younger, I would say I want to have this like huge business and I want all these team members. I want this like huge team. And for whatever reason, I think part of it was ego, it was significance, and it was also not knowing how to create an impact in multiple different facets, right? Like I'm real big about workplace culture. I love team development. I love being a part of a team. Like shoot me if I'm ever a solo entrepreneur. Like that's not what I want to do. So I had it in my head. It's like, okay, I'm going to build TVAC and we're going to eventually have 15,000 contractors. Like that was the thing. Like I'm going to have 15,000 people that work for this company. And at the pace I was moving, like year one, 100 people, like psycho, just ripped the brakes out of the vehicle. I was going for it. It's funny. It's like, why did you want 15,000 people? Because I wanted to create a good workplace culture for people to do meaningful work, get paid good money, and make an impact. Sweet. A month ago, I went on TikTok and I was like, man, I'm just going to create some videos about workplace culture because like I like it. I'm going to share my truth or whatever it is. I created a small handful of videos and in 14 days generated 20 million views talking
Damn.
about workplace culture. And people, there's thousands of people stitching my videos, duetting my videos, being like, yes, like this is my truth. Their videos are going viral with like 40,000 people liking them, 15,000 people sharing those videos. And it's like the irony that I created more impact with those videos about helping people in the workplace than I might have ever been able to having staffing 15,000 people in my company.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'll do with it and I don't know if I'm going to chase that rabbit, but yeah, in 14 days within like 5 videos I've generated 20 million views and my account grew by like 100,000 people. And I go on live streams and people are like, "Will you talk about this? How do I deal with a toxic work like environment?" Like and all this stuff. And I know that I very much am taking over the workplace culture space because it's showing it to like all of those people like in the trending videos for it. And that's way more impact than what I could have fathomed. Had I known
Yeah.
what I know now, would have I have ever wanted 15,000 people working for me? So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like sharing that sometimes I think we don't realize, God, there's so many paths.
So
There,
many.
there's so many paths. Like this is wild. And like this is again, it's gonna be like out there. There's a company called like that they literally send prank jokes to somebody's house and you can pay for it online. And it's like the weirdest sense of humor, but somebody out there was out of pocket that they were like, I'm going to create a company that like you can literally pay us money and we will send shit to somebody's doorstep. And they're making money. Like
Yeah.
you can do, and have whatever you want. You want to sell hair elastics? Do that. You want to do fitness coaching? Do that. You want to talk about, you want to sell water, liquid death? Like, do what
Yeah.
you want. Like, just the world is your oyster. And I think we get so stifled in, but this is all I know. And we don't
Yeah.
expand our mind.
100%. And that is, I don't know. I mean, my assumption would be that because that's happened to me quite often, and I constantly am always. I don't know if this happens to you or not, but like for me, like every couple weeks, I'm just like, am I in the right path? I'm like, I'm always just like, even if I feel like super good, I'm like, am I in the right path? Because I'm always like, man, there's so many opportunities, and sometimes I have to ground myself and be like, no, 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 you are. This is what you said you're gonna do. Just like stay down this path for now. But I do know this happens to a lot of people, right? When I was running my gym, I ran my gym years too long, like
Mm,
years too long, right? For sure. Because I was just like, I'm stuck. I've got to franchise this thing all across the United States. And like, that was our route. And like, we even invested into franchising it, right? I had an
yeah.
investor come in and I was so stuck on that. And man, I would have been, it would have been so much like I knew years prior that I need to shut this thing down and move in a different direction. But I think a lot of people get like, they get stuck in that. Um, what is your advice to people that are maybe currently stuck? And stuck's not a. I don't really believe any of us can be stuck, right? We're not a
Yeah.
tree. We can't just be like rooted into something. But how do people move through that if they're like, man, I feel like what I'm doing is not okay, but maybe there's a lot of fear coming up or
Mm.
self-talk that's keeping them boxed in.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in you and me can't even talk about vision until we deal with stability. Like,
Mm,
I'm a
okay.
huge believer in that. So, how can you talk to me about the vision and the passion and like what I truly want when I am scared that I cannot make rent next month?
Yeah.
So, my advice to somebody, look at your numbers. What do you want? How do you stabilize your business? And
Yeah.
stabilizing it could be I need X amount of clients that paid this amount. If I could get my business here, I would have the breathing room. And part of that, like we run a program called Customers and Profits. One of the things we do is like build models and payment models within offers for that's like a mix of a down payment and recurring revenue. So you build cash and recurring at the same time. And like we
Yeah.
model for sustainability, we model for profit. Can we please put the fires out? And then once you're stable and you're not all over the place, then we can have a conversation about what you actually want to do. And it might
Yeah.
not even be in this industry. So I think step one for somebody is like, what do you need to be stable? And not
Yeah.
some bullshit of 30K for my ego. Like maybe stable to
Yes.
you is 10K a month consistently. This is what I need. Cool. Hit that. And then ask yourself, you know, what do you actually like and what do you want? And I think this invites a deeper conversation because I would also argue with somebody that you will continue to build things you don't actually like until you learn to understand yourself.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
cool, I can help you stabilize your business and that's awesome, but like if you don't actually want to do the work on yourself of like what do you value? What does that direction look like? What is this extrapolated out in every area of your life? And like you, independent of social media and everybody else and these like mastermind little click groups that you run around in, like if I took all
Hmm.
that away from you and I stuck your naked little ass in the Himalayan mountains in Nepal, what the hell do you want?
Close at that point.
And until we get to that point, it's like you're going to keep building something that you don't like because you don't
Yeah.
live an integrated life.
Yeah.
So,
That is a very deep topic. And yeah, I do agree fully too, right? Like you got to have that stability first. Otherwise you're living in fear and you're making decisions from scarcity and fear. And like
mm,
that, it's going to be so very survivalistic versus actually what you want.
yeah,
And I see that with a lot of newer business owners that they come on the scene and they're trying to do what they love, and they're like they burn the ships, and then they're like, oh, this is like way harder than I thought, and then it's like really challenging for them to grow because they're
dude,
in that like that fear.
dude, I had times when I was like tearing TVAC apart where I was like, what I would give to be in my first year of business when I still worked a full time job and was trying to get this thing off the
Oh my
ground.
God.
Like in that moment, straddling the full time job, like the 9 to 5 and the 5 to 9 life felt easier than
Oh
fixing
my, yeah.
like what I had built. And we just sometimes we lose perspective. Part of it too is like
Yeah.
enjoy where you are. Like I interact with some people who are just like, I'm still working a full-time job and I'm trying to get my business online. I'm like, okay, well, do you make it does your job pay your bills? Yeah. Okay. What's the problem? Like, why are you so upset that you're not further than where you are? Like, slow down a little bit, get good at marketing, get good at content, build an audience. Don't need to capitalize on it yet. I swear to God, if you just keep going, you're going to get there. But you needing to be further than where you are is actually the thing that kills you. And you're going to start making stupid decisions that derail you from any like true progress.
Yeah. That's like the so like I there's way more benefits to being a part of masterminds and communities than there are, like, for sure. But that's like the one downfall for a lot of people, that like they still are holding on to like the ego
Mm,
part of things, is like they see all these other people, so it's like comparison, and they think they should be farther ahead, because they're like there's like that 17-year-old kid that's doing 1.2 million. Like what the hell? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, you are where you are, and like it's embrace it
yeah.
and build a foundation for sure. And I love what you said too about the values. That's so important. And a lot of times, I think if we really sat with it, is I remember going through this exercise where I'm like, all right, I remember doing like 30, 35K when I first hit in my online fitness business. And I was like, all right, I'm here. I'm like, bills are paid, everything's good. But I was still like stressed out and I was like not in love with my business. And I'm just like, all right, what's going on? Like, what is this?
Mhm.
And and then like really kind of getting aligned with like the values and unpacking that stuff is like, I'm like, oh, well, I'm not actually doing the I don't I'm like not running the business that's actually aligned with like my values. I'm not spending the time with my kids, my family like I want to be.
Mm.
And it's definitely a shaper, like for sure. Like in terms of like, all right, I'm so stuck into building this business but not actually like building it around my lifestyle, or vice versa. You can
Yeah.
have you could be like um the Hermoses and
Yeah.
say, I just want to build a business and I want it to be part of my life.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
there's a wrong answer.
No, but it's what's the right answer for you?
Yep.
Like, and being okay. Here's the other thing. I also think sometimes people know what they want, but they're scared to just own what they
Yeah.
want. Like we have people come into
Yes.
customers and profits, and some of them are like, help me build a 100K a month business. This is what I want. And it's like, cool, we can do that. Then there's other people who come in that are like, well, I like kind of only want to stay at 20K. It's like, why are you apologizing for that? It does
Yeah.
not matter what this person wants. It matters what you want. What I want is far exceeds both of those numbers. And I'm willing to create my entire life around that. But I have very different values of what I want. I'm also not somebody who wants kids. So we're having a totally different conversation. So again, it's like
Mhm.
customized and individualized to you. And is it integrated in the life that you want to live?
Yeah. And then just like choosing a direction, right? Like there's people like, and I probably still have remnants of this, and like I'll still go through this at times where you'll overthink that stuff to where it's like feel like what do you want now, and just like moving that direction, because that in itself will show you a lot of lessons. And like we all evolve. Like I'm still trying to figure this stuff out, like
Yeah,
and I've been at this for 11 years and I'm still trying to figure out like, all right, and I don't know. I'm moving in a direction that I think is the right direction, and next year could be completely different. Who knows?
dude, feels.
But
I literally have some days and like I love where we're at and it's a lot of fun what we're building right now. And I still have some days where I'm like, man, sometimes I just want to pack it all in and I want to go work for like a production company and just learn how to create short film content so I can write poetry and make long YouTube videos of short form films. So like I get it. I think yeah, like picking a direction and doing the best you can to build your life that in a way that you love it and your business and that it mirrors that.
yep. And if for anybody out there listening, watching right now, if Natasha can freaking tame the 150 employee beast and shift that, anybody here, you could shift things in a notice. Like you can let go, you could shift, you could do whatever you want. There's no rules to this game.
Mm.
Just just stay alive. That's the rule. Just stay alive. And so I think that should be inspiring for anybody to be like, hey, you could build something and you can completely change it
Oh,
if it doesn't fit you.
100%. I like that. There's only one rule: stay alive. You
Yeah,
can rip
just
it all apart and it doesn't
don't give
matter.
it.
Yeah, just don't quit.
So a couple more things. So, or first of all, are there any questions that I haven't asked you that you're like, damn, you should have probably asked me that, Jason?
No, I feel like we had a good talk about stuff that I'm just deeply passionate about right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if
So
there are questions.
couple more quick questions here. So number one, where can people find you and be able to connect with you?
Hmm. Zuckerberg recently punched me in the face and disabled my Instagram account, so I'm starting over, brand new. So if you want to track me down, you can track me down on Facebook and Instagram. My username for both is Natasha Starcheski, Starcheski. Those are the best places to start. You'll find links that'll redirect you to my email list. That place is a vibe. So tracking down email list, and then podcast. My podcast is called Peace, Purpose, and Profits, and you're able to find me on those platforms.
Amazing. And we'll link those up too. So it's a click away. And a question that I love to end these episodes with now is if you had one message that you wanted to make sure was imprinted down in the history books that would be around for eternity, as long as it can be, what message would you want to leave?
Oof.
The deep one.
That is a deep one. Probably that the lessons we learn are worth the price we pay. I think that sometimes we have a lot of shame around failure and we want it to be perfect and we don't want to stumble and we don't want to trip. And I don't think failure is the thing that kills you. I think judging yourself that you weren't perfect is the thing that kills you, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess it up. People are going to get hurt by your incompetence, yourself and others. But the lessons you learn are worth the price that you paid to learn them. And when you get good with that, you become very fluid in how you move through life, because I don't think we do anything out of malicious intent. We're doing the best we can with what we have in that current moment. And we go through exactly what we go through for a reason. But when you truly learn the lesson, you create a ripple effect of everything that you do after that. So
Yeah, I love that. It's really powerful. And that's a good frame too to have. Oh, sorry. I think you froze for a minute.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's
If I didn't have that mentality, like the last 2 years would have like killed me. Like I would have
yeah.
quit for sure. Like that was like a root that I held on to, was like the lessons I learned are worth the price I paid, because I made so many mistakes and I hurt so many people's feelings without knowing it. And I had so felt judgment a lot of the time when I was going through it. And I was like, I was doing the best I could with what I had, and I'm gonna do better moving forward.
Yep.
So yeah, that would be my lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really powerful, and that's a good frame. I'm always looking for like perspectives and frames that I can like try on,
Yeah.
and see like, and I think that's a really good frame and perspective to have, because you're right. Like, there's so many times where it's not the failure that I think people really care about, but it's like all of the shame and judgment and guilt people have around it,
Mhm.
that does it drops them down into this like lower consciousness, and they start making decisions from that consciousness, and that's what destroys them.
Yeah.
So that is
A quick example of that. It's like when you're a little kid and you're learning to ride a bike, you haven't yet developed the self-judgment. You just fall off the bike
yeah,
and you cry and it hurts and you're like, "Oh, this sucks." And it's like, "It's okay, just get back on. Keep pedaling." And you do it, and like
yeah,
you will wipe up off the bike and you will get back on it time and time again until you figure it out. You cry because skinning your knee hurt physically. You didn't cry because you were ashamed that you weren't able to ride the bike. You cried because there was
yeah,
like physical pain from the wipeout. You get older, you're 25 years old, you don't know how to ride a bike. You feel so much shame that someone has to teach you to ride a bike that you won't even get on it because you don't want to be judged. But if you were a kid, you wouldn't even have that thought.
yeah. That's a good analogy for sure. We should do a whole episode on like storytelling, poetry, and like the creative process.
I would love to.
It's like, so that's a solid analogy there. Cool. Well, appreciate you being on the show. It was good to jam and catch up, and there was a lot. I mean, I know this is going to be an episode that people want to re-listen to over and over again, or watch if you're watching this on YouTube over and over again. And I would encourage you, if you to re-listen, to rewatch, and to take notes, and to actually like try some of these things on, these different perspectives or these different frames, or anything that you really got from this. Like, actually go and try it and apply it. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to Natasha. She is a wealth of knowledge in a lot of different things, as you heard here today. And so feel free to reach out. You can connect with me, connect with her, especially if you're going through any of these things in your business right now. and you're just kind of looking for some guidance or some support.
Yeah.
Um, and so thank you for being on. And for you listening or watching right now, remember that you have a message inside of you. And that message contains a light and enthusiasm, a passion for helping others. And that's a beacon of light that you can shine out into the darkness to all the people out there that are freaking eating too much, drinking too much, they're stressed, depressed, they're living life well below their potential. Your message can help change their lives. So don't be afraid to speak it. As always, be seen, be heard, and be impactful.